Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in once again to another episode of Ralston Speaks. I have certainly missed fellowshipping with my fellow brothers and sisters, kings and queens, but I had to take some time away to allow some of the tension and the violence and the chaos to die down a bit before we could launch into a more calmer dialogue. Because to be honest, I was getting quite angry myself, as I'm sure we all are. Of course, now we hear about further violence and a murder in Atlanta, and so it has definitely forced our hand. So we are going to move right along towards our objective for equality. Now, let me paint a picture for you. I'm going to paint a picture of a people that were drugged into this country, as we all know, in chains. But I'm trying to paint a picture here. Now bear with me for a moment as I elaborate. Imagine a people that were brought into this world with nothing on, into this country with nothing on, but a loincloth for the men and, to be honest, probably nothing for the women, because they were object of desirability for the white slave captives. Capturers. So anyway, these people came over with zero, nothing, if a loincloth. So they were given substantial food. They were whipped through the fields by day, toiling in the hot sun of our southern the southern part of our country. And at night, these people communed together. They came together on Slave Row in all their misery, and they were able to laugh, sing, dance, and have fellowship with one another, not quite forgetting, but being able to live with their miserable circumstances. Now, keep that picture in your minds as I continue on with this video. So, these people who were able to withstand horrible, unmentionable misery still had the strength and the joy and the love in their hearts to commune with one another at night, to find the best out of a horrendous situation, not only with their labor and their lives, but with the food that they ate, mind you. The food that they ate were the scraps from the white man's table. We have the term, I'm sure you've all heard the term high on the hog. If you're doing well, you're living high on the hog. Well, guess who thought of that term? Of course, the white man, because they ate from high on the hog. The ham, the shoulder, the bacon. Whereas the scraps that they tossed to us were low on the hog, the hock, the feet, the tail, the ears, a little higher up in anatomy, but I'm sure my brothers and sisters know where I'm getting with this. Now, not only did they make the best of their living situation and their labor and their forced labor situations, they made the best of their cuisine. Let's not call it cuisine. Let's call a duck to the slops that they were thrown. Now, the point that I'm trying to make here is that these people, although living in misery, they found a way to be comfortable as comfortable as possible in their discomfort, making them the ultimate slaves. Now, excuse me for that statement. It wasn't meant as an insult. However, African Americans were not the first attempt at enslaving another human being on the planet by the Caucasian men and women. So They needed strong, vibrant, yet also peaceful people who could labor, be tortured and abused, and still shake off their turmoil that their oppressors brought down on them on a daily basis and continue to do the labor that they were brought into the country for. So you get my meaning. This has everyone has a limit. Let me paint another picture. Imagine, if you will, a pot on a stove simmering. It can simmer and simmer and simmer. Once you turn the heat up, more than likely that pot is going to boil over. If it simmers, no pot can simmer forever. And either in both situations, either the pot is going to boil over, or in the other situation, the contents of the pot are going to be destroyed forever. However, we have not been destroyed forever. We continue to strive and accomplish. Even though we started out with zero, nothing but barely the clothes on our back, which weren't even ours, but they were given to us. Now, in spite of all the turmoil and the living in comfort, relative comfort in your discomfort, there were always people surrounding us, fighting for us throughout our history on this continent. They knew that this situation, they never ever felt comfortable. They knew that they had to fight for their people. They knew that when the smoke cleared and the white people gave them bacon for a meal instead of a ham hock and pork intestine, a hog maw, that it was only a matter of time before they played their true hand. Now I'm talking about leaders, abolitionists like Malcolm X, Harriet Tubman, Sojourner Truth, Rosa Parks, W.E.B. Du Bois, Calvin Brown, Martin Luther King Jr. These patriots have been fighting for us for decades, for our freedom and for our equality. Now I sit before you today, my brothers and sisters, kings and queens, and I tell you, it is time to give them the support that in the battle that they have spent their lives fighting for. Are we not human, equal to any other human on this planet? If we are cut, do we not bleed the same color blood that they bleed? What gives these people the right to treat us any differently than they would treat their own fellow man that they see as equals to themselves? We have to unite, my brothers and sisters, kings and queens. You see my finger? If I grab my finger, it can be broken. My fist is a formidable weapon. It is time that we band together, quit fighting amongst ourselves, because for time immemorial, we were the first entrepreneurs. We traded peacefully. We traded in things that had no monetary equal, but we figured out a way to make them equal as far as value back and forth. Cowrie shells from people that lived on the coast were traded in equal portion to their value to people from the inland that had sheep, cattle, milk, maize. We do not deserve this type of behavior, and I say we will not stand for it any longer. Now, when we speak of education, the slavery may be over. Yes, we have no doubt, but it is. But we are being oppressed in another more diabolical way. Now, I have a list before me that I'm going to read to you, my brothers and sisters, kings and queens, and this list will open your eyes to how we have been circumvented, surrounded, and as Malcolm X said, bamboozled to think that we are equal and we are living fair lives to our oppressors. But after reading this list, I hope that I can educate my brothers and sisters, kings and queens, to exactly what the mentality is of our oppressors in this country. Excuse me. Now, this list was compiled as of 2017. The list reads as such: the 10 richest Americans in this country were 100% white. U.S. Congress totaled 90% white. U.S. governors, 96% white. Top military advisors, 199% white. Colin Powell broke that barrier. U.S. presidents and vice presidents, 99% white. Thank you to the Honorable Barack Obama, who broke that barrier. U.S. House Freedom Caucus, 99% white. You are going to understand where I am getting in this list in a moment. People who decide what TV we watch on a daily basis are 93% white. People who decide what books our children read in school are 90% white. And we have seen that as the years gone by, because many years ago, the portion of the Black history in these history books took up a chapter. Now it is down to a paragraph. They are trying to erase history so that the people who know their history will either be incarcerated or die off, and the younger people, when they are faced with our anger and our outrage, would actually ask us, what is the problem? The country's fine. It is not. And as I read my list, I will explain to you why it is not. So we had the books that our children choose to read in our schools is 90% white. Let me continue. People who decide what news is covered on a daily basis, 85% white. So as we move along, even music producers of the music that we listen to on a daily basis, 95% white. People who directed the top 100 grossing films as of 2017, 95% white. Teachers who teach our children, 82% white. You see the story that's unfolding? Full-time college professors, 84% white. Even down to the owners of the professional football teams in which we are the main employees, 97% white. So, as I've said in a previous video, is it that we cannot do these jobs? Obviously not. We are kept out of these prime positions in government because it is the only way they can manipulate our lives to be forever beneath theirs. And that is not all, my brothers and sisters, kings and queens. We all of us that own homes pay property taxes, do we not? Yes, we do. Now, the property tax, the value of your property and the amount of taxes that you pay on said property vary from neighborhood to neighborhood. Why is that, you can imagine? Well, let me explain. If you live in a lower, I'd say lower class, but if you live in a lower, excuse me, lower, a lower income neighborhood, you obviously, and of course, and rightly, are going to pay a lower percentage of property tax. Well, this we know, but we also know that property taxes, among a few other forms of income, fund the schools. So the funding that you pay in your lower property taxes, that much less is available to fund the school where your children are learning in the substandard books with the, now forgive me for any teachers in these neighborhoods that I'm mentioning, but you are not substandard teachers, but you have substandard funding to do your jobs. So moving right along, on the opposite end, the more, and by the way, the lower funding would, of course, purchase older books, sometimes no computers, and if there were, they were older laptops or older tablets. So moving right along, on the opposite end of the spectrum, you have the upper middle class neighborhoods which were predominantly inhabited by Caucasians. Well, they pay a higher property tax, so they have better school funding, better pay for the teachers, and they can hire better teachers. So as we move along in this, what is called systemic racism, we have the students filling out their applications for colleges. Now, it is a human being that is reading these applications. So you have a human being that's reading an application, and of course he's going to first look at the name, but we'll get back to the name in a moment. He will also look at the grade point average. Now, the grade point averages of a student that was taught in a well-funded school, we have found that the grade point average is a little bit higher more often than it is in a lower funded school. However, there are some outstanding GPAs on both sides. This is where the systemic racism comes in. We have a human, like I said before, analyzing and perusing these applications. And the neighborhood, the district, and everything else, of course, is on those applications. Anyone can look up that applications, and obviously if you have a ulterior motive while you're looking through these applications, obviously you can deny certain applications. The only ones that you cannot deny are the ones that stand out so greatly that there would be questions posed if they were denied. So now in our situation, our applications, just like college applications as well as job applications, split twice. The first way is where we live. The second way is if we have an ethnic name. I guarantee you that if two human beings had the same qualifications and generic names, they both would be called in to have a job interview. However, if two of these same human beings had the same qualifications and one of them was named Shaniqua and the other one was named Chad, well, let's take a guess on who would get that job, ladies and gentlemen. Exactly. So this is something that I would like to address, because this is not something that we have brought on this country. This is something the country has brought to us. We did not introduce this country to racism. They brought it to us. It is up to them to alleviate the situation. And if they have no intentions or are too slow in alleviating the situation, then just like a bully on a playground, the only thing that they will listen to is force. Now, myself, I consider myself a responsible leader. I cannot advocate violence. I do not want to see violence. However, from the time we had first resisted our incarceration and our forced labor, that we have not been satisfied with our lot, and instead of getting understanding and peaceful solutions and coming together of our grievances, instead we've got lynchings, segregations, different bathrooms, different drinking fountains, less pay, no reparations. This tells me that peaceful demonstrations, peaceful dialogue does not work. Now, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., rest his soul, started out the equal rights movement and made great progress. However, he was dealing with a culture and a society that was so diabolical that they let him believe he had gained 3 steps forward in progress to his people, when, however, like I said before, they were circumnavigating his perimeter and casting us back even further. My sisters, brothers, kings, and queens, we have a battle on our hands. The mentality of the people that have come out of the woodwork since Donald Trump was elected is proof that not only were they out there simmering like we were, but for a different reason, but they have not diminished in the numbers that mathematics and biology and history says that they should have. We are going to, and the only way that we can force change, because we have asked for change, demanded change, and nothing has happened, my sisters, brothers, kings, and queens, then we are going to have to get together in a cohesive unit and decide how it is we are going to demand change. Ladies and gentlemen, sisters and brothers, kings and queens, it is my honor to serve you. I feel that I am serving our best interests. And thank you for listening. My name is Ralston.